Sure. Cool.
Okay.
So, getting the chance today to talk to Janice about healthcare and kind of some of the pains and struggles people are going through with the recession happening, maybe getting layoffs and furloughs and stuff like that. And so love to take questions and stuff. But first, to start off, why don't we go ahead and Janice, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm Janice Kapp. I live here in the Austin metro area, and I've been involved in insurance for almost 8 years. Before that, I did HR management and managed medical and dental practices. So I've seen insurance from all different angles, and I'm able to really help people figure out what's best for them.
That's great. So I guess, one of the questions that a lot of people have with everything that's been going on. I mean, I'll hear people talking about obviously the government loans, so PPP for businesses, unemployment for individuals. How does someone that's either maybe furloughed or potentially laid off in the situation? What are some of the things they should be aware of when it comes to their health insurance?
So some of the stuff that people don't realize is if your employer was able to get a PPP loan, besides paying your salary, they should be paying your insurance. So if that's happening, then great, you're covered. If you've been furloughed or laid off and your employer is not paying your insurance benefits, then something that was put in place by the State Board of Insurance is a 60-day grace period where it's similar to Cobra, but you have 60 days of coverage still, even though you're not making premiums, because there's a lot of instances where people can't afford the premium because they're not collecting unemployment and they just don't have any money, so they can't pay the premium on their own. So in theory, if you're comfortable with not paying your premium for 60 days, you could always go and pay the back premium if something happens, which is kind of like how Cobra works. Or you can actually opt to get on something else, maybe a private plan, or there's different choices. There's ACA plans, there's all different things. That's a qualifying event, losing your insurance. So they need to talk to somebody that knows the ins and outs of insurances and figure out what is the best solution for them in their case.
Sure. And maybe explain Cobra for people who aren't necessarily aware of what that is.
So if you've worked for an employer that has insurance, Cobra is actually a law that allows you to continue to keep your employer insurance for up to 18 months. Why people think it's expensive? Well, it's really not any more than what the premium was before. It's only about 2% higher. The problem is your employer is no longer contributing any money to your premium. So the full cost of the premium is on the employee. So if before you were paying $300 a month through your employer, now your premium is $600, it's because your employer was paying half of your premium. So Cobra is a way you can keep, if you love your insurance and had great coverage, it is one way to keep continuing that coverage for a while.
Makes sense. For some people, they've maybe, instead of being completely laid off, they've been furloughed. And so how does that affect insurance from that standpoint? Because if you're, kind of still working, or you're still technically, I guess, employed by the company, but maybe not getting paid and stuff, does that health insurance stay with you? Would you still be able to use that in an instance if it was needed?
At least for 60 days. There are many employers that are still paying the premiums, not paying the employee their salary, but are still paying the insurance premiums. So it will depend what your employer is doing. But there's still that 60-day grace period. So if the premium's not paid, they will still pay a claim. They may request the premium from you or take it out of your claim payment, but you will still have coverage for at least 60 days.
Okay. And then I thought I had seen somewhere too that if you're required to contribute part of that premium for the health insurance, that's kind of what you're talking about. That you have that 60-day grace period or 60-day period to maybe not necessarily have to pay it initially, but if you're going to have to use it down the road, you just would have to catch it up and make that current.
Right. A lot of employers are they're able to pay it, and then they'll just do catch-up deductions with the employee once they come back to work.
If people are, if people have questions regarding their situation or their insurance, like, I mean, trying to deal with health insurance companies is tricky enough during good times,
Right.
let alone now when I'm sure they've been a little bit overwhelmed with
Mm-hmm.
an influx of claims and different things. Are there some tips and tricks to trying to navigate communicating with your health insurance company?
Depending on who you have your health insurance with, I would always recommend talking to your HR person first. If you have insurance just directly through an agent, talk to your agent, because you're going to be able to get them on the phone much more easily than maybe one of the big name companies. And all the big name companies have been sending out notices. They have a website that has information. Calling is going to be difficult. You're probably not going to get through calling. So use all these other resources first. And if you still can't find the right answer, and then, call, and maybe maybe you'll get a call back, and not the too distant future. So, but yeah, those are the go-to resources.
Sure. For self-employed people, right? So I'm a
Mhm.
real estate agent, basically self-employed. What kind of, are there any special things we should be taking into consideration or looking at when it comes to health insurance, specifically during a kind of a time like this, maybe when businesses slow down or there's some uncertainty there from that standpoint, or is it going to be pretty much the same as it would be for a traditional employee?
I think it's the same, other than you have more choices when you're self-employed. Because if you're relatively, depending on what you have now, if you have coverage now and you're able to continue pay for it, then keep it. But there are other choices out there for independent people like yourself, where, maybe if you're healthy, you just want access to Teledoc or another urgent cares, and there's plans out there that can give you that for a very affordable price. So I think for everyone, it's a great opportunity to review your benefits, see what you have, see where the gaps are, because this is where people are finding that, ooh, maybe I need to have something for extra for critical illness, or maybe I do need Teledoc, I don't have Teledoc. And so things can be done a la carte. And again, it's a needs-based thing. I recommend everyone talk to their favorite agent and talk about needs-based, what you need, and make sure they do represent multiple carriers, because that's something that's very important too. If they don't represent multiple carriers, they may not be aware of all the choices out there for people. And I feel like that's really important, that people have a choice and know they don't have to get this one particular plan that they absolutely hate, that there's other options for them.
Sure. So for yourself as a kind of an independent health insurance consultant, what kind of things are you able to do for people to kind of help them navigate that process?
Well, I actually do a free consultation. I kind of go assess their medical needs, assess their health, assess their medical needs, and then I give them some choices, and I lay out the pros and cons of each choice, because as with any insurance, it's you're mitigating risk. So you're hoping you don't end up in the hospital. You're hoping you don't have COVID-19. Are you healthy or are you not healthy? What are the odds of you having a heart attack or a stroke or getting cancer? Those are the things I kind of talk about with people. And it's not only their risk factors, but their comfort level. Some people may be perfectly healthy, but they're terrified of getting cancer, or whatever their fear is. And I address those too, because it's not only about the money, it's about your comfort level. So we've got to get a plan that matches their needs, fits their budget, and matches their comfort level.
Awesome. Well, sounds good. So I've linked Janice's information here. She's a great resource in the health insurance field. And so I know she'd be happy to help people however she can with questions or with a specific situation and stuff. So I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on. I know we're all kind of busy as we're kind of getting slowly back to whatever the new normal will be. And so
Right.
appreciate you taking the time to jump on for a couple minutes today.
I appreciate it, Troy. Thanks so much.
Sounds good. Everyone have a great day.
You too.